Let's just say it straight. Owning a pickup in 2026 comes with a rulebook that gets thicker every year, and most of us have never read a single page of it. State troopers, weigh stations, insurance adjusters, even the pumps at some fuel stations are now checking things they never used to check. And one wrong item, one thing you tossed behind the seat months ago and forgot about, can turn a routine traffic stop into fines, a failed inspection, a denied insurance claim, or in the worst cases, a criminal charge. None of these are exotic items either. They're things truck owners haul every single day, and odds are at least one of them is sitting in your bed or your console right now. So today I'm walking through 10 of them. A few of these are going to sting. Let's get into it. Hauling extra fuel is practically a truck owner tradition. Whether you're heading to the deer lease, running a generator at the job site, or filling up the tractor back home, having spare gasoline or diesel in the bed just makes sense. But if that fuel is riding in the wrong container, you're breaking the law. Gasoline has to travel in containers built and certified to federal safety standards, with EPA and DOT approval stamped right on them. That rules out the old milk jug, the leftover kerosene can from the shed, and that suspiciously cheap plastic can you grabbed off a clearance shelf, and it goes further than the little red can. Those big auxiliary transfer tanks mounted in the truck bed have to be certified too, and gasoline in particular has much tighter rules than diesel. A lot of guys don't realize that a standard aluminum transfer tank that's perfectly legal for diesel can be flat out illegal if you fill it with gas. In 2026, inspectors at weigh stations and state lines are checking these setups more than ever, and fuel stations in several states now refuse to fill uncertified containers at the pump. Get caught during a roadside inspection with a leaking, unlabeled, or uncertified tank, and you're writing a check before you leave the shoulder. And the money is honestly the smaller problem. Gasoline vapor pooling in a hot truck bed next to your tools and your battery jump box is a fire waiting for a spark. So check the labels, look for the certification stamps, and make sure the caps and seals are in good shape. Spending a little more on the right container beats explaining to your insurance company why your truck burned to the frame. Now, this next one shows up in truck beds all summer long. Fireworks. Maybe you're hauling a batch home for the 4th of July, or you pick some up cheap across the state line. Either way, fireworks riding in your truck can make you a criminal without you ever lighting a fuse. The rules flip completely from one state to the next, and what's sold legally at a roadside stand in Missouri can be banned outright the moment you cross into Illinois. Plenty of guys have made that exact drive and gotten pulled over on the other side. With wildfires becoming more frequent and more destructive, especially out west, enforcement in 2026 is stricter than it's ever been. Some counties issue burn bans that make even legal fireworks illegal to possess. And certain classes of fireworks are treated as hazardous materials, which puts you in a whole different category of trouble if you're transporting them without the right paperwork. If you're stopped and an officer finds a bed full of mortar shells during a red flag warning, you could be looking at serious fines, confiscation, and in dry states, personal liability if anything ignites. And think about where those fireworks are sitting, right there in the bed next to your spare fuel can, in direct sunlight at highway temperatures. That's not a party waiting to happen. That's a hazard. So know the rules in every state you're driving through, keep receipts, and honestly, when in doubt, just buy them where you plan to light them. But this next one is where things get really serious, because the penalties stop being fines and start being felonies. Carrying a firearm across state lines in your truck means the rules change every time the welcome sign changes, and ignorance has never once worked as a defense. The exact setup that's routine in Texas or Arizona can put handcuffs on you in New Jersey, New York, or California. In 2026, more states than ever dictate precisely how a gun must ride in a vehicle. In some places, that means unloaded, locked in a case, stored separately from the ammunition, and completely out of reach from the driver's seat. A pistol in the center console or a rifle on the back seat rack might be business as usual back home, but in stricter states, that exact setup can get you arrested even with a valid concealed carry permit from your own state, because many states simply don't honor out-of-state permits. There is a federal provision that protects you while transporting firearms through unfriendly states, but it only applies if the gun is unloaded, locked up, out of reach, and you're genuinely just passing through. Stop overnight, and that protection gets shaky fast. Retired law enforcement and military guys, this applies to you too. So don't assume your background buys you any slack. Before any long haul, spend 20 minutes checking the transport laws for every state on your route, and pay special attention to magazine capacity limits, because a standard magazine that came with your pistol can be contraband all by itself in states like New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. Every truck owner has the right to protect himself, but the responsibility to know the law rides shotgun with it. Here's one that catches decent, law-abiding guys off guard constantly. Open containers of alcohol in the cab. And no, I don't just mean drinking and driving. Everybody knows that's illegal. I'm talking about the empty beer cans rolling around on the floorboard from last weekend's fishing trip. In most states, an empty or previously opened container inside the passenger area of your truck counts as an open container violation, even if you haven't had a drop all day. The officer doesn't have to prove you drank it in the vehicle. The empty can behind your seat is the violation, and in many states, it doesn't matter if it's your passenger holding the drink either. A buddy cracking a cold one in the passenger seat can earn you the citation as the driver. Now, trucks do have one advantage here. In most states, the bed of the truck is not considered the passenger area, so sealed or even empty containers riding in the bed or in a locked toolbox are generally fine. But that half-finished bottle of whiskey in the door pocket, that's a problem in almost every state. And in 2026, several states have raised the fines and started attaching points to your license for it. The fix costs you nothing. After every trip, every tailgate, every weekend at the lake, sweep the cab. Empties go in the bed or in the trash, and any open bottle rides in the toolbox, not the console. It's a 30-second habit that can save you a court date. Now we get to the big one, and if you own a diesel truck, this next section might be the most important thing you hear all year. Emissions delete kits and performance tuners. For years, deleting the DPF, the EGR, or the DEF system on a diesel pickup was treated like an open secret. Shops did it in the back room, forums traded tuner files, and everybody figured the worst case was a failed emissions test. Those days are over. The EPA has spent the last several years hammering the delete industry under the Clean Air Act, shutting down tuner companies, fining shops millions of dollars, and yes, going after individual truck owners. Tampering with emissions equipment is a federal violation, and the civil penalties can run thousands of dollars per violation for an individual owner. In 2026, more states have added automated enforcement too. Smog checks now scan your truck's computer for delete tunes, and a visible smokestack pouring black exhaust down a highway is basically an invitation for a stop. Here's the part that really stings. If you bought your truck used, you might be driving a deleted rig without even knowing it, and the violation follows the truck. A deleted truck can fail registration, get denied at inspection, void what's left of your powertrain warranty, and give your insurance company an excuse to walk away after an accident. So if your diesel has a mystery tuner plugged in under the dash, or the previous owner bragged about the mileage gains, get it checked by a reputable diesel shop before you renew your registration. Ask them to pull up the truck's computer and confirm the factory emissions equipment is intact and functioning. Putting a truck back to stock isn't cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than a federal penalty letter showing up in your mailbox. Now, if you thought the EPA was strict, wait until you hear how the federal government handles this next one. Cannabis. More than half the states have legalized it in some form, but Washington never did. And that gap is where truck owners get burned. The moment your tires touch federal property, a national park, a national forest, an Army Corps campground, a Bureau of Land Management site, whatever product is in your glove box is contraband under federal law, no matter what your home state says. It gets trickier from there. Driving it across a state line is a federal offense even when both states allow it. Legal in Colorado and legal in New Mexico does not make the drive between them legal, and rangers and troopers in 2026 are writing these up, not waving them through. A medical card won't rescue you either, because as far as federal law is concerned, medical marijuana doesn't exist. There's one more angle a lot of older guys miss. Plenty of retirees now use legal THC products for sleep, arthritis, or pain, and several states have zero-tolerance driving laws where any detectable THC in your system counts as impaired driving, even if you took it 2 days ago and feel completely sober. That can turn a routine traffic stop into a DUI charge. So if these products help you at home, that's your business and nobody else's. Just keep them out of the truck anytime your route crosses a state line or touches federal land, and know your state's testing rules before you drive at all. Real quick, if you're getting something out of this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I put out truck ownership and road law videos every single week, and a couple of the last 4 items on this list are the ones that catch almost everybody. This next one seems harmless, and that's exactly why it trips people up. License plate covers. Those smoked plastic covers, tinted shields, and clear glare guards sold in every truck stop in America are illegal in most states, even the clear ones in many places, because anything that covers or obscures the plate can interfere with cameras and plain old readability. With toll roads going cashless across the country, states are losing serious money to unreadable plates. And in 2026, they're doing something about it. Fines have gone up, enforcement is up, and automatic plate readers in patrol cars flag obscured plates instantly. And then there's the extreme end of this, the plate flipper. Those James Bond-style gadgets that rotate or hide your plate at the push of a button. Texas banned them outright with criminal penalties, and other states have followed suit, because the only real purpose of a flipper is dodging tolls and cameras. Even having one installed can be enough for a charge in some places, regardless of whether you've ever pressed the button. Same goes for the sprays and films that claim to blind toll cameras. So take a walk around the back of your truck. If there's anything over that plate besides a plain frame that doesn't cover the numbers, the stickers, or the state name, pull it off. A dirty or covered plate is one of the easiest reasons for an officer to light you up, and it turns every toll gantry you pass into a potential ticket. Let's talk about lighting, because truck guys love their lights, and the law does not love them back. That LED light bar across your roof or bumper is fantastic on the back 40, and completely illegal to use on public roads in most states. Off-road auxiliary lights generally have to be switched off, and, in many states, physically covered with an opaque cover while you're on the highway. Run a 40-inch light bar at full blast on a 2-lane road, and you're blinding oncoming drivers with something several times brighter than legal headlights, and officers write tickets for it all day long. Color matters too. Blue and red lights are reserved for emergency vehicles in essentially every state, so those blue accent LEDs or red underglow kits can get you cited or accused of impersonating law enforcement, which is a far bigger problem than a fix-it ticket. Even white underglow and grille lights are restricted in plenty of states while the truck is moving. And those super bright aftermarket LED bulbs guys drop into halogen headlight housings, most of them aren't DOT compliant. They scatter glare everywhere, and in 2026, more states are failing trucks at inspection for them. None of this means you have to strip your truck. It means know the rules. Light bar covered and switched off on pavement, no red or blue anywhere visible from the front, and DOT stamped bulbs in the headlights. Save the full light show for the trail, where it's legal and where it actually belongs. Now this second to last one is short, simple, and carries the nastiest federal penalty on this entire list. Radar jammers. With more speed cameras and radar enforcement out there than ever, some guys figure a jammer is a clever way to beat the system. It isn't. It's a federal violation in all 50 states, because the FCC classifies jamming as deliberate interference with law enforcement equipment, and the fines for it run well into 5 figures. Several states pile their own criminal charges on top of that, treating the jammer itself as an illegal device, which can mean a misdemeanor or worse depending on where you get stopped. And you don't even have to use the thing. In some states, a jammer wired into your truck is a violation sitting in park, whether it's ever been switched on or not. Laser jammers live in a grayer zone, legal in some states and banned in others. So don't assume that little LiDAR unit on your front bumper is safe everywhere you drive. Now, plain radar detectors, the ones that just listen and beep, are still legal in most states for passenger vehicles, with Virginia and Washington, D.C. being the well-known exceptions. and they're banned in commercial trucks nationwide. So if you want a heads up on speed traps, a legal detector covers you in most of the country. But if there's a jammer anywhere on your rig, pull it out this weekend, because no speeding ticket you'll ever dodge is worth a federal fine that starts with a comma. And that brings us to the last one, and honestly, it might be the one most of us are guilty of. Unsecured cargo in the truck bed. That ladder laid loose across the rails, the trash bags headed for the dump, the plywood held down by nothing but hope and a floor jack. In every state, you are legally required to secure your load so nothing can shift, blow out, or fall onto the road. And in 2026, the penalties have real teeth. Road debris from unsecured truckloads causes tens of thousands of crashes in this country every year, and states have responded. In Washington, after a young woman was nearly killed by a piece of furniture that flew out of a trailer, the law now makes it a criminal offense, not just a ticket, if your unsecured load injures someone. Other states have followed with jail time on the books for the worst cases. Even when nobody gets hurt, fines for littering from a vehicle and unsecured load violations can run into the hundreds or thousands of dollars, and troopers absolutely pull trucks over for a flapping tarp or a bouncing mattress. And if something does come off your truck and causes a wreck, you're civilly liable for every dime of the damage, and your insurance company will be reading your policy very closely. The fix is the cheapest one on this list. Real ratchet straps rated for the weight, not those frayed old bungee cords hanging in the garage, a tarp cinched down over anything loose, tailgate latched, and a 30-second walk around with a tug test before you pull out of the driveway. If you haul regularly, keep a dedicated strap bag behind the seat so you're never tempted to wing it. Tie it down like your license depends on it, because it does. And that's the list. 10 things that can turn your truck from an asset into a liability, and almost every one of them hides in plain sight until a trooper points it out. Nobody's coming to check your rig for you. The trooper's job starts after the mistake, and the insurance adjuster's job is finding a reason not to pay. Staying ahead of both of them takes about 10 minutes in your driveway. So here's your homework for this weekend. Go through the cab, the console, and the door pockets. Open the toolbox. Look at your fuel cans and read the labels. Walk around back and look at your plate. Then grab your straps and give everything in the bed a hard tug. 10 minutes, and you've closed off just about every problem we covered today. If this saved you from at least one of these, hit the like button so it reaches the next truck owner, and subscribe, because next week I'm breaking down the new towing laws that are catching truck owners off guard at state lines. Drop a comment if you've ever been stopped for anything on this list. I read everyone. Keep it strapped down, keep it legal, and I'll catch you in the next one.